I have a feeling that the iPhone 14 series of phones will have the chance to be the best selling iPhone ever. I mean, ever. Like ever, forever, ever? Yes, forever, ever. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can come back in 9 months from now and tell me I was wrong, because maybe I'm going to be wrong. But I have some reasons why I believe this. So let me tell you about those reasons, and I'll do it right after this.
This is, you know you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back, and for all you new people, welcome. My name's Travis and I do tech videos every single week, and today we're going to talk about the iPhone 14 and why I think it's positioned to be the best-selling iPhone of all time. So let's get into the video. So I've been reading the tea leaves, and I have an inkling that the iPhone 14 might sell more than any other iPhone in recent history. There's a couple of reasons for this. A lot of them are psychological. It's not necessarily because this phone's going to be so awesome, although I'm sure it'll be fine. I just think that things are lined up in a way that actually help push the narrative that this could be the best phone ever for Apple. And I believe that because we've seen over the last couple of years that Apple is continuing to gain traction when we talk about selling phones. Sometimes in the middle of a pandemic, when no one else can really sell a phone, they've been able to sell stupid amounts of phones. As a matter of fact, to give you kind of a taste of this, the iPhone 13, which looked and pretty much performed very much like the iPhone 12, we're really serious about it. You know, we look at the two, there's very little difference, especially to the average consumer between those two phones, sold stupidly well. Like, redunculously well. There's reports out there now that over the holiday season, just a couple of months ago, they shipped and sold 40 million iPhones. 40 million iPhones. What? For context, the Samsung Galaxy S21 series of phones, their flagship that they came out with in 2021, because remember, there was no Galaxy Note series of phones, sold 20 to 25 million. The entire year. Let me say that again. In the entirety of 2021, the Galaxy S21, which was launched at the very beginning of the year, sold somewhere between 20 and 25 million. The iPhone 13, which was launched in the tail end of the year, sold 40. Bruh. And again, it wasn't that drastically different from the 12. So I think it just shows that there's a lot of interest in Apple's newest phones as they come out. It seems like every year they sell a new phone, they sell more of them. But there's some interesting things going on with the 14 that I think really help its way forward. But let's first look at the phone itself, and then I'll explain to you why I think the demand will be high. Now, all the leaks tend to show us that there's a new design, and this is going to be absolutely critical because as kind of silly as that is for all things, it's actually going to make a huge difference because people like to see something that looks different. It's one of the things that helps sell phones. Sell phones. Cell phones. Seriously though, it actually helps people rationalize why they're buying a phone when they don't necessarily need one. Something that looks different, especially if it looks cooler, can be one of those things. And we all know that the notch that's been around since the iPhone 10 is not exactly the coolest looking thing on a phone. I think people just kind of accept it for what it is because you need Face ID, so you need a notch. You just kind of accept the ugly notch in the front part of the phone. It's one of the ugliest designs in smartphone history. Just got to be honest, it's terrible looking. But, you know, it is what it is. There's only one manufacturer of iPhone, so you just kind of take it. Hope you like it because that's the only thing they got. However, with this new design, that now looks different. And for people, psychologically, especially people that are not tech heads, people that are not watching YouTube videos about tech, your average consumer that walks into a store and wants a new phone, it looks different. It looks completely different than any phone they've seen over the last several years, which means it's new. In addition, there's an estimate that over 230 million people who have iPhones haven't upgraded in over 3 years. So you add that, the new design, above and beyond the other thing I'm going to talk about, and you actually have the chance for a ton of sales. Remember, 3.5 years ago means you're beyond the iPhone 11 series of phones. You might be on the 8, 10, maybe even on the 11, but it doesn't matter because if you're on any of those phones from the iPhone 11 and earlier, you're missing a very important feature that the newer phones have. And no, it's not night mode. And it's not having 3 lenses, although that's one of them if you're getting the Pro series of phones. It's 5G. And while for you and I, who know that 5G is not that big of a deal, people walking down the street just know that that's one more G than what they have now, and that means it's better. Because again, when they went from 3G to 4G, you could see a difference. I mean, I know I did. When I went from a 3G service, which was sketchy at best, to 4G, everything seemed to work better. And that's just how people's minds work. They work on things like nostalgia. That's why old video games like I have in the back, or old shoes, or whatever, nostalgic things sell because you have this feeling that's associated with when you first had them. And for most people, when they got to 4G, their internet worked fine on their phone. And 5G must be better, right? It doesn't really matter if it actually is better. It just needs to be perceived as better. And you add that along with a new design, and that's a must-have phone. And another thing is, China now loves the iPhone. Really, for the first time in a long time, the iPhone's #1 in China. This is the weirdest thing ever, because in China, if you think about it, they have a ton of Android options, more Android options than we have here in America. So they're surrounded by options, and they're picking the iPhone. And if you think that an iPhone that looks more like an Android phone won't entice even more people to switch over to an iPhone, you're crazy. And in other people I've talked to in my live streams and in my comment sections, different places in the world have noticed that, especially in places like Japan and even some places in England, they're starting to see a shift to iPhones as well, sometimes as a status symbol, sometimes just cuz. Now, I'm actually going to do a video about why people switch from Android to iPhones here very soon, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, because not only am I going to talk about why it is, I'm going to then show you what happens when someone gets an iPhone when they're a hardcore Android user. So what is the top selling iPhone of all time? Well, it's the iPhone 6, believe it or not, a long time ago. Over 200 million units sold. That's a tremendous amount of phones sold. And if you think about it, we haven't seen anything really come too close to it since. But remember that number I said earlier? Over 200 million people haven't upgraded in 3.5 years. And with a new design coming out, 5G, plus the people who have upgraded in less than 3.5 years, they will upgrade again just because the thing looks different. You have the opportunity to have the best-selling iPhone of all time. And that's a lot of iPhones. Heck, that's a lot of phones, period. I mean, there's nothing else out there selling as much as this. It's why the iPhone tends to be the #1 sold phone in the world every single year. And that doesn't mean it's the best phone. I know people out there saying, oh, Travis, you're an iPhone fan, so you're always going to pump up iPhones. Listen, there's tons of things wrong with iPhone. It's not a perfect phone. I don't like a lot of things they do. I don't like how I have to spend $60 if I want an iPhone charging case or something like that. I don't care. Like, Apple's not perfect. By any means, trust me when I tell you. But the facts are the facts. They sell a crap ton of phones. And the reality is, this combined with 5G, combined with a new design and any other thing they can sprinkle on top, like that Apple marketing, makes this a potential blockbuster of a phone. Something that will sell more than any other phone before it. You got to remember, while the 13 is pretty much outpacing the iPhone 12, it really wasn't that much different. But the 14 will. What do you think? Leave me a comment below. And again, subscribe in case I'm wrong. Next year, this time, you can tell me I was wrong. Although, no, you won't be able to do that either, because it wouldn't have been enough time for it to be the best selling phone. Listen, just subscribe. Just subscribe and watch this video here, because you probably will like it. I'll see you next time. Peace and love.